being involved in this industry back then, which we're talking early 2000s, there were no women around. There wasn't a person that looked like me doing this.
If you're tired of losing close deals to your competitors, keep listening. These podcasts are designed to leverage the experience of tenured sales professionals and leaders to infuse performance in your sales journey. So let's go. Sunita Pidair, owner and founder of Worksafe. You got into this space and in this business. Why and how? How did you get into forklifts, training, warehousing?
So I got into the business originally kind of by a fluke. I ended up working for a different training school. And with my time there, I originally started off in the marketing and advertising. I was on the back end of that this side of the business. And then I started really getting into the business. They needed more help. I started doing the day-to-day operations. I started learning about the different programs. I learned how to drive the equipment, which was fun because I like to drive.
Okay, so wait. See, you got to understand, she's wearing heels right now. This is all of 5'1". The visual of you behind one of these trucks, driving.
Yeah.
What was the first reaction that people had to all of this package right here? Mighty Mouse herself.
I think most people don't believe it. They usually do a double take and are like, do you know how to drive it? Can you drive it? Really? So I got a lot of that, and I still get a lot of that.
Okay.
People really question why I'm doing this, and again, how did I get into it?
Well, one of the things you were telling me earlier off camera was that you feel like this is changing and you're actually enabling other people's lives.
Yeah, you know, I think when you have this type of opportunity, when I originally was coming up with the idea of starting the business, I remember sitting at home in my little office that I created and thinking to myself, you know, what do I want this place to be like? What do I want it to look like? And what am I going to be able to do with it aside from making money? I mean, obviously everyone goes into business to make money. That's usually the end result. But for me, it was, I want to make money, but I also want to do something good. So when I was building the business and coming up with the branding and the idea and the motto behind it, it was to help people. Yes, I knew I would have to get different types of forklifts and offer services, but the services and what we do is always based on making sure that the customer is going to get the best out of it.
So now you're saying that that's one thing that differentiates your training house here, meaning Worksafe, from other training centers.
That's what I try to do. And I honestly, I know competition is healthy and I know that everyone has their own way of doing things. For me, I just wanted to do it my way. So going in and knowing the competition and what they were doing, I wanted to go in it with a little bit of a different spin. But it was important for me that that spin wasn't just about me. I wanted it to be about my customer.
So this is the story that we wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Leverage. We wanted to tell a story about, it started off, well, this young lady, and then realized, well, wait a second, no. She's a mature business professional who's been doing this for years and years. But the thing I love the most, Sean, do me a favor, it has feminine fingerprints all over the shop in a male-dominated world, and you can be successful.
100%.
How many women, and have you seen that percentage grow as far as the amount of women that are being trained in a male-dominated industry? Has that percentage, is it swinging? How is that, where's the motion on that scale?
Like I mentioned earlier, when I got in the business, I was probably the only woman I ever saw when I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. And now, you know, I'd say the percentage has changed quite dramatically.
Okay.
I'm talking, you know, with our two training schools, the amount of people coming in, it's not just booked in with males. I'd say we're probably at about 25–30% now with females coming in. And I really think I'm a big part of that. I really went and pushed and marketed women since I've been on my own. In the last 5 years or so, it's really jumped. I've been working on this since 2008 to get more and more women involved.
So when you talk about next,
Yeah.
you've been on this journey for 15 plus years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, we are, this I'm excited about. We're standing in the Mississauga location.
That's right.
But this is just one of 2 locations.
Correct.
And you always have expansion plans on the horizon.
For sure.
Okay, so we know where the journey might end up, but what has the journey so far meant to you personally?
Gosh, that's a big question. Personally, it's really helped me come into myself and believe in myself and understand my capabilities, how far I can reach, how hard I can play, even when times get tough and you feel like maybe this isn't the right thing. Maybe people are looking at it like, oh, here's this woman, running this type of industry. Were people really going to go for it? I've gone through a lot of hardships throughout the time.
Okay.
It has been 12 years. I started in 2008.
I'm not going to ask the typical question, what would you say to the 19-year-old Sunita Pidair? That's not what I'm going to ask. But if there was another 19-year-old who thought that they might be able to, but there are just too many barriers to entry, whether she's brown, 5'1", black, yellow, it didn't even matter, right? It doesn't even matter. But what would you say to that young lady saying, hey, I got this, I did this, and I'm holding it down? What would you say to that person?
There's a few things I would say. Number one is always dream. Never stop dreaming. Okay. I think a lot of us think we can't have things. So we stop the dream in its steps. Oh, I'll never be able to do that. I'll never accomplish that. But that's a horrible way of looking at things. Not everything comes to us right at the exact moment that we want it to happen. You need to have a plan. You need to have some goals set here. And I think it's taking it one step at a time. And I think when you do it just one step at a time, you build confidence within yourself.
Again, through our conversations, this is yet to fully be realized. There's more to the Worksafe journey.
Of course, it doesn't end here. Yes.
So what's next? Not what the end game is, because I don't want to reveal that, because I don't think you'll all be able to take in what she's really going to accomplish. I'm still struggling with the enormity of the fullness of her dream is. I'm just saying, what's the next step?
So for Worksafe right now, I do want to just state that I've accomplished the goals that I wanted to at the onset, which was when I was sitting in that little office and I said I want a couple locations, which I did. I opened up Scarborough, I opened up Mississauga. I wanted to get more women in the industry. I was able to do that. There's been a lot of checks. The next thing for me is to take on the online world. We launched online in April with the forklift training. And now that I've got a little bit of that, kick in me and I see that it's working, I'm ready to go in deeper. I'm ready to challenge Worksafe and myself and start putting on all different aspects of safety.
Okay, good, because I'm going to take you up on that. You're doing such a great job today that you're going to have to co-host with me and host for Leverage Consulting an upcoming podcast, because I think she's killing it. I think she's doing a fabulous job. So that's coming up for Worksafe.
Yeah, we're going online, and also with my travels, I love to travel. I haven't been able to do enough of it lately. But traveling is a passion of mine, and every single time I travel, I believe there's signs out there for us, all of us. And every single time I travel, I see a forklift wherever I go. It doesn't matter. I mean, I was in Cuba traveling down, some little road and all of a sudden in a little, small shack in the middle of a forest, there's a forklift pulling out. And I'm like, okay, they're everywhere. I love to go global. That's a big.
Really?
Yeah.
I was about to go in a different direction, but then you dropped the global word.
Well, the global thing I think I believe I can do because of the online aspect. And then, I don't want to give all my secrets away.
So if there is anybody online that's listening and you feel that there's a connection to be made, details will be available at the end of this podcast, how to connect with Sunita. And let's see if we can make something happen to expand what happens here globally. There's always connections to be made. You've been able to enable, at this point, hundreds and maybe thousands of trainees. Fantastic. Now, you've been able to employ a number of people. So now you're enabling families. Yeah. Fantastic. Let's park Worksafe.
Okay.
Let's talk about this girl right here.
Okay.
What's going on with Sunita Pidair?
Well, the passion of always making a difference in the world is just, it's in my veins, it's in my blood, it's in my cells. So
Okay.
I've been working with women's shelters for years. Volunteering is a big passion of mine. I work with autistic kids. I'm always trying to put myself in situations and opportunities that allow me to grow, but also continue to help. So I know that's part of the Worksafe world as well, but that's part of who I am in general.
Now, we've known each other for a little bit, and I was trying to get a hold of you last year, and I can't. It's like, I'm just trying to find you. And they wouldn't tell me where you were. I'm calling your office in Scarborough. Hey, I need to connect. We need to chat about X, Y, Z. And someone was in Africa.
Yeah,
and you didn't tell nobody because you weren't doing this to let people know. You just did this because of what you were telling me about, what you're passionate about what you actually care about.
Right.
Why are you hanging out in Africa?
So Africa was probably one of my most exciting journeys. You know, going out there, I was invited by a really close friend to go visit some orphanages and volunteer our time. So we journeyed off to Nairobi, Kenya, and visited 4 different orphanages and volunteered. And it was such a great perspective to see where I come from, which is, you know, Toronto, Canada, and seeing people in an environment where there's such a lack of, it was really eye-opening. But I will tell you, after leaving Africa, you know, I came home and I was asked if I could help one of the orphanages and help with the education of some of the girls. And how do you say no to something like that? I always look at life like it's a book. You know, we're going through chapters in our book, and you can write your own story. You don't have to have that story written by somebody else's thoughts, someone else's beliefs. So when you're on the journey, it's not always good, okay? You're gonna have things, and life is not about always being at the top of the mountain. There's valleys where you're gonna have to go deep. You're gonna get a little low. That's where you're gonna gain character. That's where you're gonna become who you're gonna become. I remember very clearly that day when I was getting that unit to lease out to open the school where my first official place would be. And that was such a challenging time of being very nervous and knowing that I was gonna do this. How was I gonna pay the lease the next month? I was out of money. And I thought to myself, I can do this. And I can do this. It's a lot of self-talk and having that belief in yourself. So for me, it's been important because that's how I look at my life. That's how I look at what I do, is to create the story, live out the story, and then write a new chapter.
Create the story, live out the story, and then pursue the next chapter.
That's it.
Hey, if you're going through a hard time in your business, congratulations. Join the rest of us in this journey and in this party. It really is all about that journey. Thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you again, Sunita. It's been a pleasure.
It's been amazing. Thank you for having me.